Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you for purchasing a Shuttle Buddy product. Today I want to go through the assembly of the Shuttle Buddy Pro for HD Innovations shuttle, for the Summit shuttle, for the Clam shuttle. So let's go through it. So after you receive your box, open it up and then pull out all of the hardware. There should be a bag of hardware, and let's go through that quick. So the first thing you should get is two Allen keys, a small and a larger one, a drill bit, 4 EPDM 3/4 inch diameter, 1/4 inch thick spacers, 8 nylon spacers, 2 3/4 inch 1/4 20 bolts, 2 1/4 20 nuts, 2 washers for that assembly, 14 of the longer thread forming screws, 4 of the shorter thread forming screws, 4 1024 1-inch button bolts, 4 1024 1.5-inch button bolts, 2 more, or 2 1-inch 1/4 20 bolts, 1/4 20 nuts, 8 of the 1024 nuts, and then the associated washers for the 1024 bolts. Additionally, if you ordered the glow cup, you'll get a smaller pack with the switch, 4 machine screws, and 4 smaller Nylox nuts. The cup itself with the wire harness, and the cover for the cup. That's all the hardware. Then in the box you should have the molded handle, the top plate. This one here again is for the glow cup. If you did not order the glow cup, this hole right here will not be cut out, nor will this one. So there's the top plate. Here is the bottom plate. Side mounting plate, this is the left. I don't know if you can see it, but there's an L stenciled in the bottom and an R stenciled in the bottom of that one. The male and female portions of the turret clamp, 2 each, 2 of the males and 2 of the females. Lastly, you will have 3 different sets of holsters, a set of 1.4s, a set of 1.25s, again stenciled in the base, and then a set of 1.12s, which are 1 1/8 holsters. Okay, that's all the parts. So let's go through the assembly. I'm going to put some stuff back in the box because we're not going to need all of it right away here. So the first thing I want you to do is take the plates and identify the top from the bottom, or the underside from the top side of each plate. The bottom side or back side is got the nylon nut pockets. So flip those over so that we can get at those. Okay, so now you're going to take 4 of the 1024 Nylox nuts and you're going to insert them into the smaller holes for the turret clamp. There's 2 on each of the plates. The flat side of the nut goes down. The plastic portion of the nut should be visible, or towards the outside of the plate. So 2 of them are in, 3 are in, and there's number 4. Pretty easy. Take the 1/4 20 nut, same thing, flat side goes in, 1 1/4 20 goes into this pocket. Line up the faces, push them in, line up the face, push them in. Now if you have the glow cup, you'll put those nuts in now as well. And again, these are just smaller. Flat side goes into the pocket. Two of them are in. Here's number 3 and number 4. Okay, now that those are in, flip those back over. Now what you need to do is grab your turret clamps and get the male portion out and the 4 spacers. Now is when you need to determine which size transducer pole you're using. If you're using a 1.4 or greater inch diameter pole, which is typically the Clam pole as well as the Legacy Hummingbird pole, you won't use any of the EPDM spacers in any one of these 3 pockets. So then you would just go ahead and start the assembly. But if you're going to use the HD or Summit pole, which is 1 1/8 inches, you would put an insert in the 2 outer areas on each clamp. Like so. If you're using an 1 1/4 inch pole, which is the TKI pole, and I'm sure there's others, you're going to use just 1 insert right in the very middle. Okay. So let's set this up for the HD Innovations pole, which is 1 1/8 inches. So 2 spacers, both on the outsides of each. Now you're going to flip those over, find the 4 1024 1-inch button bolts, get those started. Use your small Allen key and go ahead and start spinning those down, and just get them so they just go through the bottom. So they're just poking out the edge there. So they're just poking through, and then we'll put them in the holes and spin them tight. And you're going to draw that nut up. You'll feel when it seats all the way flush. Don't need to over tighten it, just draw it into the pocket all the way, and so that it seats flush, and that should be good enough. When you flip it over, you'll see that the threaded end of the bolt is just poking through the plastic insert in the nut. That'll lock it in place. So now we'll do the same thing for our bottom assembly plate. Spin them through, line them up in the hole, and tighten them down. Now remember, on those EPDM inserts, if you didn't use all of them, if you went with the 1 1/4 inch pole and you have the spacers left, put those in a safe place just in case you decide to use a different pole at some time in the future. You can just swap those spacers in and out. Alright, so that's seated in. Again, the bolt is just coming through the Nylox nut. Now we will take the female portion of the clamp, get a 1/4 1-inch bolt, slide it through, drop it into place, grab the larger hex key, and spin that down. And again, seat the nut all the way in, and now it's tight, back it off. And that one's ready to go. Same thing on this guy. Drop your 1/4 in there, spin it down, tight, back it off a little bit so it moves freely, and now those are assembled. Okay, now if you have the glow cup, this is when you would insert that in. If you don't have the glow cup, you can advance the video a few seconds here because this won't take long. So you're going to fish your wire harness through, and then you see where the wires come out of the cup. There's a little notch there. You're going to put that in at a slight angle to get by that notch, and then just push it down. Rotate it to line up the holes. Put your cover on that. Again, line it up. Spinning on me. Go ahead and put those screws down through. Grab your Phillips screwdriver. And you're just going to snug those up. Do not over tighten them. Could crush the plastic of the glow cup. So that's 3 of them, and here's number 4. And you're all set there. Alright, the next step is to insert the switch, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to only show you to demonstrate. I don't do it in the video because once you push this in, you can't really pop it back out. It's got 2 little flanges on the side. You're just going to line it up whichever way you want the switch to be, and then just firmly press straight down through, and it'll pop into place. There's 2 tabs, one on either side, that'll catch underneath the little rim. So like I said, I'm not going to do it here because once it's in, you can't take it out, and I don't want to ship it with it in. So now is when you press that into place. So let's assume that's done, and now we will go and grab the holster clamps. Now the holsters, again, depending on what pole you used, you'll marry these up with your particular transducer pole. So what you're going to want to do is get those lined up, and these are fairly snug. Get them lined up, snap them into place, and then we'll come back and put some screws in from the bottom. There you go, those are in. And now we would flip it over and use the short thread forming screws. There's 4 of them for the 2 holes on each side. Make sure your drill driver is at a low torque setting. Do not overspin. Just get them down snug. If you overspin those, they will not serve as a screw any longer. There you go. Now those are in. Okay, now you're going to take your side plate. This one's marked with an R. On the bottom plate, on the back side, there's an R located there. Sorry. There's an R located there. An R located on the inside of that. Those are going to marry up. Put those down. Now here's your left side. Left side goes on the left side. Push it down. And it's just easy to remember because the pockets need to be towards the middle, pockets towards the middle, and then these little dogs are facing out as well. Alright, now that those are in, you can take your top plate and push it over, and that's all in firm. So now you can take your long thread forming screws and we're going to drive those home, snug them up, but do not over tighten. Doesn't matter which one you start with. So there you can see they're bottoming, or the torque is stopping with a few turns left, and that's fine. I'll finish them with a screwdriver. It's actually a little safer to do that, because then you definitely will not spin through the plastic. And once those 6 on the top are done, you'll flip it over onto that orientation, and now we will do the same thing with the remaining 8, 4 on each side. Again, I'll finish those off with the screwdriver, and they should be underneath the plate so they're not sticking out. They should go nicely into the pockets. There you go, nice and smooth. They're not sticking out, nothing sticking out on the bottom here. All right, now you need to make a determination on which side you want your handle. My preference is to be on the left side of the unit, but you can try it one way. If you don't like it that way, you can move it to the other side. So let's put it on the left side. So now you're going to take your 1/4-20 nut and you're going to insert it into the 1/4-20 slot down on the bottom, and then there's a 1/4-20 slot up on the top, or pocket I should say, and that'll go right in there, and that is in. Now this is probably the toughest part of the whole thing. Grab your washer and your bolt. Washer and your bolt, and we need to get that through that hole, and it is kind of a pain, but if you just kind of slowly work it, spin it like you're screwing it in, it'll work itself through the canvas that's melted there. And on some of these, when you get them, that might have the bolts hanging through the handle already. There we go. We got those done. Now we're going to take the larger whoop. That happens once in a while. Okay, that one's in, started. This one gets started as well. And again, you're just going to snug those up. So now your handle's attached as well. Okay, you are fully assembled and ready to mount to either the HD Innovations shuttle, the Summit shuttle, or the Clam shuttle. You'll have to go to the next video to see how that's done. Thanks for watching.